Let's be honest. When someone walks away from you, they don't miss you right away. They don't sit there in instant regret. In fact, at first, they feel relief, freedom, space. They enjoy the silence. And that's the part that stings, right? But here's the truth that most men never learn. They won't miss you until you become the man they can't reach anymore. Not because you disappeared out of pain, but because you evolved through it. They miss you in the moment they realize you're no longer waiting. That's when everything changes. Here's what brings that moment to life. When you finally stop reaching out, it's like turning off a faucet they didn't realize was always running. In the beginning, they don't feel the silence. In fact, they might welcome it. They might feel relieved not to have to respond, not to carry a conversation they weren't invested in anymore. But over time, something starts to shift. That constant source of attention, validation, and emotional energy they had access to suddenly goes missing. And it's not replaced by noise or drama. It's replaced by stillness. And that's when it hits them. People don't miss what's always there. They miss what's gone. As long as you're reaching out, checking in, keeping the door open, you're feeding a system that doesn't allow detachment. They don't have to miss you because you're still emotionally available. But when you step back, not out of anger, but out of self-respect, you create a void. That void speaks louder than words. It makes them question, wonder, and eventually, remember what your presence really brought. Stopping communication isn't about manipulation. It's about reclaiming your energy. You stop giving what isn't being valued. You stop showing up where you're no longer invited. And when you do, that with quiet strength, not bitterness, it creates impact. It breaks the pattern. You're no longer predictable, no longer in orbit around them. You've put the attention back where it belongs, on yourself. It may not happen right away. It might take weeks, even months. But the moment they feel your absence, not just physically, but emotionally, that's when they start to feel something deeper. Not everyone deserves a second chance, but everyone deserves to be missed properly. And that begins when you stop giving away your presence for free. When you begin to level up without them, that's when the shift really happens. At first, they might assume you're hurting, waiting, or hoping for things to go back to the way they were. But then, they see something they didn't expect. You're not stuck. You're moving forward. You're building. You're sharper, more confident, more focused. And that's when they start to wonder if they ever really knew your full potential. Growth is powerful because it silently communicates that you've outgrown the version of yourself that was attached, reactive, or emotionally dependent. When your life improves in their absence, it rewrites the story they were telling themselves. Maybe they thought you were weak. Maybe they thought you'd fall apart without them. But now they see you thriving, not pretending, not playing games, but truly evolving. And that shakes their perception. This kind of growth hits differently because it's not loud. It's not desperate. It's not a post on social media or a cry for attention. It's internal. You're improving your mindset, your discipline, your purpose. You're taking care of your body, refining your goals, surrounding yourself with people who match your new standards. And that creates a glow they can't ignore. They see the version of you they didn't appreciate, the version they overlooked. And that realization can be haunting, because now you're no longer available in the same way. You're busy living. You're no longer chasing. You've become someone they might not be able to reach again. Leveling up doesn't just make you more attractive to them. It makes you more valuable to yourself. And once you reach that point, you stop looking back, because you finally understand that the breakup wasn't an ending. It was your beginning. When they see you're genuinely unbothered, it challenges everything they expected. Most people assume that when they pull away or go silent, the other person will break down, reach out, or seek closure. They expect you to react emotionally, to question them, to chase some form of validation. But when you do the opposite, when you remain calm, composed, and entirely unbothered, it sends a message far louder than any words could. Being unbothered doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're in control of yourself. It means you've reached a level of self-awareness where you no longer hand over your emotional power to someone else. You're not faking detachment. You've actually worked through the pain, detached your identity from the outcome, and found peace in your own presence. That's rare, and it's powerful. People are drawn to emotional stability, especially when they're used to drama or insecurity. When you stop reacting, they begin to notice. When they sense that their absence no longer rattles you, it triggers something unexpected, curiosity. They wonder why you're fine, why you're not trying to reconnect, why you seem even better without them. That curiosity can turn into reflection, and reflection can turn into regret. The key is that your indifference is real, not performative. You're not pretending to be okay while secretly obsessing. You're genuinely focused on your life, your goals, and your future, and that energy speaks volumes. The strongest message you can send to someone who didn't value you is to live, well, without needing them. Indifference isn't bitterness, it's freedom. And when they finally realize they no longer have a grip on your emotions, that's the moment they start to miss you, not for who you were, but for who you've become without them. When they try to replace you and it doesn't measure up, that's when the reality of your absence begins to hit them. In the beginning, it's easy for someone to believe they'll find someone better, someone easier, someone who makes them feel something new. But what they often fail to realize is that what you brought to the table wasn't common. It was the result of your consistency, your presence, your depth, and your energy. That doesn't get duplicated easily. At first, they might enjoy the excitement of someone new, the surface-level attention, the rush of novelty. But as time passes, the substance starts to matter, and that's where most replacements fall short. Maybe this new person doesn't listen as well. Maybe they don't have the same emotional maturity. Maybe they can't lead, can't communicate, or don't bring peace the way you did. That's when comparison sets in, and comparison is the thief of satisfaction. Suddenly, the little things you did that they took for granted become noticeable. The late-night talks, your calm in chaos, the way you held things together even when life got hard, those aren't easy to find. And when those pieces are missing, the realization begins to grow. What they let go of wasn't just a person, it was a connection with depth. What makes this even more impactful is your silence and progress. You're not competing. You're not watching. You've moved forward. You've leveled up. And now they're left sitting with someone new, thinking about someone old, someone who's no longer waiting. That sting of realizing the grass wasn't greener, that's when they truly start to miss you. Not in fantasy, but in contrast, because the best reminder of what they lost is experiencing what doesn't compare. The moment they realize you're gone for real is the moment everything changes. It's not when you stop texting for a day or two. It's not when you go quiet out of frustration. It's when the silence becomes a lifestyle. When the door isn't just closed, it's locked. And not out of spite, but because you've genuinely moved on. You're no longer checking their page, wondering if they'll come back, or replaying memories in your head. You've let go, not because you don't care anymore, but because you finally care about yourself more. This moment hits differently, because it's not marked by a dramatic goodbye. There's no final argument or emotional outburst. It's quiet, subtle, and permanent. You're living your life in a new chapter, and they're still stuck trying to reread the last one. That's when regret creeps in. Not just for losing you, but for realizing they're not a part of the man you've become. When they try to come back, they notice something has shifted. Your tone is different. Your energy is calmer. You're polite, but distant. They no longer have access to the version of you that was emotionally available, eager to reconnect, or holding on to hope. That version of you doesn't exist anymore. And they can feel it. What makes this moment so impactful is that they know it wasn't forced. You didn't beg, you didn't chase, you didn't play games. You simply grew, you healed, you evolved. and now you're gone. Not physically, but emotionally and mentally. That kind of loss is powerful because it's irreversible. When someone realizes they can't reach you, not because you're angry, but because you're healed, that's when they truly miss you. Not the old you, but the version they'll never have access to again. They won't miss you when you disappear. They'll miss you when your silence becomes strength. When your life moves forward without apology. When you no longer need closure, attention, or validation. They'll miss you. The moment they realize they can't get back to the man they left behind, because he turned into someone even better.